In this ever-expanding universe, we humans are ever evolving. The current pandemic has increased our acceptance level to change. When we change to new models in new normal, we create possibilities. These possibilities help us to redefine ourselves in the new world and help us thrive in new ecosystem. Our planet has seen numerous setbacks in the past in various forms, and every time we have come out of those crises stronger than before. In VYAPT Growth Series, hope is a dimension of our growth because hope generates possibilities and shapes it into opportunities. In our growth series today, we have with us Mr. Ashish Chandra, who is the CEO of Bharti Airtel-Srilanka business. Ashish, with over 2 decades of experience, has been instrumental in his contribution working across the spectrum of telecom industry. Welcome to our show, Ashish.
Thank you, Pankaj. Really my pleasure to be on this VYAPT Growth Series. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashish. So we start with our first curiosity. And my first curiosity is, this pandemic has brought a huge crisis across the globe, which we have seen.
Yeah.
How has it impacted the telecom business in India and South Asia?
So, Pankaj, a very important question. Before I get to the answer, I would like you guys to see that telecom has always been essential services for all of us. Without telecom, we cannot imagine our life. Now, during the pandemic time when the COVID has hit us and most of us operating from home, it became even more important as an essential services. So today, most of the businesses are happening from home. Most of the people are working from home. Your window to outside world, which is all the news that you get currently, is coming to you through a mobile phones. Your window to education for most of the kids who are staying at home is coming through mobile phones. Even the administration is using it to coordinate. And hence, I think this becomes a very, very critical services for all of us to continue focusing on. Now, there are multiple ways, obviously, the pandemic has hit all of us. But I would like to talk about two things, the way the telecom industry is seeing the changes during this pandemic time. So one change that we are seeing is a shifting of the usage pattern of the consumers. Okay, so you and me. So typically what used to happen earlier, Pankaj, was that most of us used to operate from our office areas and there were commercial hubs. Now, instead of operating from commercial hubs, all of us have started operating from home. So the usage pattern has shifted. So the telecom companies across the world have created capacity which is more in the commercial areas because it's been used there. Mm-hmm. And the capacities were not so much in the residential area because there was marginal usage which used to happen. Mm-hmm. Suddenly those capacities have shifted. So instead of the capacity needed at the commercial area, now we need capacities more in the residential. Mm-hmm. Second big change which has happened is that most of us used to be urbanized. So most of the people used to leave their rural areas and come to the urban markets and used to operate from there. Now, during pandemic, a lot of people have gone back to their homes. Okay, again, the shift of capacity. Whatever that capacity that we used to use or the usage used to happen in the urban towns are now happening in the rural towns. This is now how the network has been planned. Third major change which has happened is the usage pattern. So typically, the way telecom was being used is mainly for downloads. So you would watch a video, you would download a file and other stuff. Now with this kind of work from home scenario, people are using more of video usages. So video usage is asynchronous, which is like your upload and download happens on a similar kind of scenario. Now in these kind of scenarios, one big challenge which telecom faced was that how do we redefine our capacities around and how do we go and still serve the customers. But I think a lot of work which has happened in last 6 months across the world and across the South Asia, where the capacities are getting created in the areas where it is needed. Second, how we have used it as an opportunity is telecom has a broadband services, and broadband service serves our customer in a much better way in these times because it offers a large bandwidth, and it also takes the load away from the mobile networks. So we are actually pushing a lot of broadband services, and we have seen a 2x or 3x kind of growth in different regions within South Asia, where the usage of broadband has gone up drastically. So people are using it, and we're using it as an opportunity to increase the broadband access to the customers. Second big change which has happened in the pandemic is also the buying pattern of the consumer. So if you look at telecom industry predominantly about 85 to 95%, depending upon which region are we talking in South Asia, is a prepay market. And most of the people in the prepay market still prefer to do a physical transaction. So they will walk to the market, buy a coupon or get a recharge done through a retailer or a modern trade outlet. The digital usage or digital recharging and digital buying pattern was restricted to about 30% to 35%, again, depending upon the country and the regions that we're talking about. Now, this created a lot of issues because as soon as the lockdown happened and all the countries went into the lockdown, the shops were shut down. So there's no way that people can buy recharges or can pay their bill and continue using that. And that's what a big problem which came to the telecom. And telecom, again, tried to find out different opportunities in this. To give you an example, to the people who were not able to recharge, we were giving them some free data and free minutes so they can at least keep using the services and they are not completely out of touch with the world. Second thing we did was we created innovative products which will help you recharge for your friends, your families and other stuff, and we created social entrepreneurs. And actually we make them participate in the business so that if you are a person, you can recharge for multiple people and you earn something out of it. So in this particular time, we created these kind of opportunities. But last but not the least, I think the biggest opportunity which got capitalized in this particular time, and I always say this is a silver lining in the cloud, is the increase of digital penetration. So most of the people have learned to do digital transactions. And I think telecom played a very important role by teaching people how to do that, helping them download, promoting different services so that people become it's more lucrative for people to do that. So digital transaction, which used to sit at about 30 to 40% at the peak of the pandemic in different countries, reach about 80-85%. It has since the time the open ups are happening in different part of the countries and different part of the region, this digital penetration has come down, but still double of what it used to be in the earlier times. And I think more is the digital penetration, better it is for the efficiency of the company as well as from a customer convenience perspective. I think these are the two big changes that we saw, which is shifting in the usage pattern of the customer, and we use it as an opportunity, and changing the buying behavior. We use it to make people go to digital platforms. So these are some of the things I think we have done in the past 5 to 6 months as a telecom industry. When the telecom is going through all these challenges and the transformations that it is doing, I think a very big role is being played by the telecom warriors. And when I say telecom warriors, these are the employees of the telecom industry. To provide a service to our customer and keep the network alive, we need our engineers, our riggers, the people out on the field to be there and keep doing it on a day-to-day basis. And I think hats off to these telecom warriors who were there in the field, ensuring and risking their health in a way, while we were taking all the precautions, the telecom industry was taking all the precautions they can take, but still when everybody's sitting at home in the security, these were the people who were going out and risking themselves to provide services to the customer. Similarly, the entire sales staff, I would say, the frontline staff, the customer care staff, to ensure that there is an availability of product to everybody and nobody is without a recharge, or nobody is without a connection when they need it, or nobody is without a broadband connection at their home. All these guys who were out in the field, I really want to salute them for providing these services to our consumers.
So Ashish, you talk about digital penetration, and it has reached to very higher levels and deep and wide. So do you think that this sector would convert this pandemic, if I may call it an adversity? So do you think this sector would convert this adversity into opportunity?
Yes, Pankaj, I think I always believe that every adversity will create a new opportunity. Okay, and that's what I am looking at this pandemic also. So while it has done a lot of harm to the humankind, but it will bring up new realms, okay, which will be an opportunity. And telecom is no different from there. So a lot of things, again, in this pandemic, if I look at some of the areas where I see a lot of opportunities, at least for the telecom or the related industry. Again, if you look at the pandemic has changed a lot of things, and some of them which I would like to highlight is, one is a business is going online. More and more people are coming online, want to go online because the physical movements are getting restricted. Okay. Second thing, as we discussed earlier, more and more people are working from home. So that's a behavioral change which has happened. And third thing is, more and more payments are becoming digital. Okay, because if the physical movement is not there, you can't use cash and other stuff. Now, all these three things, I think, is some way or other is an opportunity also for a telecom industry. To give you an example, when more and more businesses are going online today, people need connectivity. They need connectivity to different platforms. Now, telecom companies, through their enterprise solutions, are offering opportunities for customers to become online or take their business online very soon. So, whether you are a small office, home office like a Soho, or you're an SME or SMB business, or you're even a large scale business, and you have a desire to take your business online, which is coming up even more and more as we go into with the pandemic. Telecom companies have offerings for you, and those offerings will help you take your business online. So that's a big opportunity. Second, as I said, more and more people are now working from home, and what it means is, as I said earlier, is a broadband connectivity. You need high data connectivity. You need tools like conferencing tools, audio conferencing tools, video conferencing tools. Now, with the work from home culture becoming more and more, I think there's another opportunity that telecom has to connect more and more people on broadband connection, whether a wireless broadband or a wired broadband. This is something. And third and the last thing which I clearly see is the digital payment scenario, because more and more people have moved to the digital scenario, which is app-based payment or wallet-based payments or a digital debit card, credit card kind of. And especially in the South Asia, where financial inclusivity is still not that high, which means your banking penetration is not that high, debit card, credit card penetration is not that high. I think mobility or the mobile phones are the biggest tool to take digital payments to the last. And that's where the digital mobile wallets and I think the payment banks reach to the customer is a big opportunity. I think the only thing that we need to be, and from a telecom company, the way I look at this is that we need to be really connected to the consumer, and we need to judge the changing pattern in the usage of the customer and their demands. What also, because their challenges will change. And what I believe is that we are still not towards the end of this entire lockdown or the pandemic area. Once we are going to finish this entire area, the new tomorrow which is going to emerge is still yet to emerge. So the telecom companies and all companies needs to be completely clued on to how customer demands are changing, how their challenges are changing, so that we can change our models also. To give you an example, the business used to happen in most of the telecom companies, which is typically physical. Okay, now from physical, we need to move to phygital, which is physical plus digital. That's the kind of transformations I think most of the companies needs to do over a period of time to encash this opportunity and grow their business.
So Ashish, we had heard a new term, phygital. It's physical plus digital. And you talked great about that, how telecom industry is changing this adversity into opportunity. You also shared some of the areas wherein already this telecom industry is working and has gained a lot of traction in these areas. Can you also talk about what are the growth opportunities ahead? So when I'm talking more from not only from business point of view but also from transformations point of view, this telecom industry is going to undergo in order to excel in this changing landscape.
So as I said, the transformation opportunities which are available to the telecom industry. So one, as I clearly said, was understanding the consumer needs. Okay, because you really need to be connected to the consumer. And if you're far away, and this is not only for telecom industry, I think this is available for all of us who are there and running any kind of a business, that you need to understand how the changing demand of the consumers are happening, and you need to understand how the challenges that customer faces are changing. And if you really have a mechanism to study this and define your products, processes, system, the way we said the phygital, which is from a physical to a physical plus digital. So you need to keep challenging your own systems, processes to suit to the customer requirement. And I think that's a big transformation that all of us needs to do.
So you mean to say that, Ashish, we need to be more agile, both in terms of person as well as businesses nowadays?
Absolutely. You have to be much more agile in terms of challenging your own process, projecting how the things is going to be in the future of tomorrow, and keep changing your business on the go, which is what is required.
So when we talk about this, we have heard a lot about blue ocean strategies. Well, in business earlier used to only do businesses which were similar to their businesses. Now with the new education policy, we also talked about a physics guy would also love to learn music as well. Do you think that this kind of changes is going to happen in businesses as well, wherein now one company doing X business would also like to do a diverse business which has nothing to do with X and goes up into Y, which earlier we have seen many corporates when very hesitant to get into that Y business?
So I agree with you, Pankaj, and the reason, there are multiple reasons for that. So one reason for that is because what used to happen earlier, the entry and exit barrier for different companies into different market used to be very, very high, because most of the businesses were being conducted which is on a physical platform. So you need to create a market, you need to create offices, you need to create branches, and you need to reach customers, which used to take a lot of energy, resources, and time for you to go there. Now with the new digital scenario, the reach to the world has become much shorter. So what has happened is now most of the people are trying to get onto the digital model, where probably in few months time you can do what earlier used to be done in few years time. Okay, and you can get to the marketplace. You can, and the world is your market now. So it is not, you're not restricted by your physical presence where you are, and hence you can sell because you can only distribute in that particular areas. So now, the world is your market, and then what has also happened is the entire value chain is also getting disintegrated. So it's like it need not necessarily you own right from the manufacturing to the customer every value chain. Now you can be a part of some part of a value chain, and there are other people who are available in that value chain, and you are connected to them using technology, and that is what is helping more and more companies to enter, taste, and then if everything goes right, scale that business. Okay, and that is what is making people experiment more, because the entry and exit barriers from the businesses are diminishing and the market size are becoming larger and larger. So more and more companies, with the change of consumer behaviors and the changing business models, will now evaluate businesses which may not be something which is in their business plan maybe 10 years earlier or 5 years earlier. That's what I mean.
Fair enough. So you talked about that businesses, in coming times would also be short span, as you talked about, out of the value chain, it may suffice the purpose of one part of the value chain and may exist there for 5 or 10 years, whatever the time is, till the time that particular product or value chain is existing in this on this planet. So that's also gives us a lot of hope of new entrepreneurs being created and probably serving the society as well.
So Pankaj, what you are saying is absolutely right. This will create a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities, because disintegration of the value chain will also let an opportunity go to the smaller players who could have never thought of doing the entire value chain. So and people can now decide that which part of the play they want to do in this particular value chain. And the entry, as I said, the entry barrier is not very high with digital things coming. So this will create, and you will see that happening in next few years, will create a lot of new opportunities for people to start their own businesses or diversify into different kind of things that they were never doing.
On that note, I would love to have your views, which you want to probably share with budding leaders. But before that, probably let me have a look at what kind of learnings this pandemic has brought in for telecom segment, and what are the job generated or would be generated in quarters to come.
So Pankaj, if I really look at the job generation or the opportunity generation, I would put it into two buckets. So one bucket will be the direct job generation, which the telecom industry will do. And as I was telling you, that telecom industry was pretty quick to bounce back to the kind of business that they used to do pre-COVID situation. So most of the companies in the South Asia region are typically reach the stage of business that they used to do earlier. And now with the new opportunity, as I talked about in the broadband segment and the enterprise segment, payment gateways and other things which will come up, I think the industry will continue its growth the way the industry was going and continue generating more employment for the people. But I'm more excited about the indirect job opportunities that telecom is going to generate for the people. So one thing, as we were talking about, it will generate more entrepreneurs, because the people who were earlier staying in the up countries, which is like the villages or the areas where the facilities were not available, had never thought of doing businesses because they didn't have then access to the infrastructure which is needed to do that. Okay, and you were disadvantaged because you were in a particular place and you were not in the main hinterlands where the business happens. Now with this digital scenario coming and everybody becoming digital, the consumer becoming digital, the mid-mile becoming digital, and the businesses becoming digital. Okay, this barrier will go away. And a lot people who were doing a traditional way of business will take their business to online scenario. The people who had never thought that they could do a particular business, as you were saying, to give you an example, like education. Okay, if you're a tutor, you're sitting in a particular city. Earlier, your market used to be only your limited city. Now, with the advent of digital and with more and more telecom connectivity, the world is your market. You can reach wherever you wish to increase your business in terms of tuitions, music, education, and then you name things that the new people are adopting on a day-to-day basis to increase their business. Second big thing which it's gonna do is it will take your business to the world. And as I said earlier, that as you go online, the world becomes your market. And when world becomes your market, you can scale your business much higher. So I see in next few years or few months, more and more new kind of businesses will come. More and more people will experiment into different areas, and the businesses will scale in a digital scenario. And that will generate a lot of employment. And I'm very, very hopeful that within few months, the world will come back to the normal in terms of people engaging. It will come to a different normal. It won't be the same exactly what it used to be, but it will stabilize.
So do you also mean that now geographical disadvantage would no more be an issue for small businesses?
Yes, absolutely. That's what I firmly believe, and I'm seeing it happening now. The person sitting in a village and doing a handicraft can now market his product to any developed country sitting from there. And there are players who will, one, he can market it directly. Second, there are logistics players who can pick up their products, deliver, get the payment back to this particular person. So all that barriers will go away.
So Ashish, you rightly explained about, and in very small words and sentences, you talked about that the society is going to create small entrepreneurs, and you talked about the entire value chain, and you also talked about now people would be more open to probably sell whatever they wish and whatever they are good at, and be a part of somewhere in the value chain and earning their livelihood. So that gives us a strong ground for us to understand that what kind of message is important to be shared with these budding leaders who are yet to be a part of the ecosystem in terms of selling or producing, and so that what kind of significant role they can play in this kind of an ecosystem in order to grow forward. So I would like to have this from you. So would you like to share, as a leader, what inspires you and what are the values which play a significant role in your life?
So Pankaj, if I look at what really inspires me, I think one thing which really inspired me is solving the customer problem using technology as a tool. Because I firmly believe that most of the challenges that we face today as consumers or as human beings can be solved by technology. And that really, really excites me. So I try to use more and more technical solutions or solutions which is around the everyday technology. So technology does not mean that you have to understand data sciences and AI and other stuff, but even the simple technology like mobile phones, okay, the connectivity can solve a lot of problems. And that really excites me. That is one thing which really excites me. Second thing which excites me is learning about new things. So I do learn about a lot of new things, and you have to keep learning new things as the business evolves, because the business cycle and the change cycle is becoming much faster. So what earlier used to happen, the change used to happen in 20 years is now happening in years. So you need to keep yourself updated with the change, and the best way to do that is keep learning more, read more, talk to more people, travel more, meet more people, so that you learn the new trends and then you are in sync with things. And last but not the least, what really excites me is also leaving legacy. Okay, and when I say leaving legacy can be what positive things you do to people. So it could be to your team members, it could be to society in general, it could be to the customers or to the organizations. So these are some of the things which really inspires me to keep going on on an everyday basis. Second thing I think you asked me is what are the things which I value, or what are the things that I hold very valuable. So another thing, I think if I really look at values, what are things that I value? I value discipline as at number one. Okay. And this discipline is not about the work discipline. I think it's a discipline as a person. So you're discipline in your personal life, discipline in your work life. So the way I go about this is I follow a very strict regime that I have, which is like taking care of my health, taking care of my mental health, planning ahead of time, and then whatever that I've planned, sticking to that. So that's what a discipline is all about. Another thing that I value is be persistent and positive, and especially in the adverse situations. So situation like a pandemic situation that we're going through. And I've always seen that everybody goes through a cycle of ups and downs. So you will have good times, you will have adverse times, and that will happen. And I'm sure a lot of our colleagues will be hearing this, would be going through bad time or not so good time that they would have. But the very important at this particular time is to remain positive, okay, and to be persistent. Keep doing what you're doing or what you're good at, okay. Keep making the most what you can, because I always believe that in a difficult situation, there are few things which is in your control. There are few things which are not in your control. You should not fret about the things which are not in your control, because your thinking anyways won't change them. The only change or only thing that you can do are the things in your control. So during this time, when you're going through an adverse situation, I believe that we should focus on identify things which we can control, and then give it 100% with a positive intent. And that is something which will give us a good result. And I always believe, as I said earlier also, is that every adverse situation leaves us much more stronger when we emerge out of that. And that is what I'm really looking forward to, even this situations. When this ends, we will be much stronger and resilient human race, which will evolve out of this situation. So these are some of my thoughts on this.
So this was Ashish talking about various changes the telecom industry is going to undergo. At the same time, there was a time when telecom industry was one such player creating a lot number of jobs. Today, the time has changed, and telecom industries would be one such player creating a number of entrepreneurs. So the telecom industry moving from one segment to another segment, creating a lot of jobs, a lot of opportunity. He also talked about how the telecom business has been transformed in the last 6 months and how it has helped a lot of people in the society. And today, it's the right time to probably share that even the telecom industry has been one of the corona warriors, helping the world to become a better place to live in, to communicate even better. Thank you so much, Ashish, for your mind and heart talks. It was great interacting with you in VYAPT Growth Series.
Thank you, Pankaj, for inviting me here. It was my pleasure talking to all of you. Thank you.